like it's something in the air at that time. Don't know why. Always dream of you when spring comes. It's like the heat on my skin takes me back to the time. Met you on a Friday, halfway out at the door of the club, playing soul on the weekends. Stayed in bed till Wednesday. Fell in love with you right there and then. I was young, couldn't see that. Couldn't see that. Leather jacket, though it's too cold. Saw your face in the crowd, and I think we locked eyes. Her just perfect, yeah, she's beautiful. Never thought you'd be here. It took me by surprise when I met you in the doorway. And a friend of a friend, never thought I would see you this soon, but hope she really loves you. 'Cause I swear you deserve everything. Wish that I knew that sooner. We got sober, it was over, but I told you I'd do it all over again. At your place over spring break, a heartache. I'd do it all over again. Do it all over Tell me a lie, and I tell you too. I say that I'm happy for the two of you. You wanna be friends, but I don't think I can. But I wanna be happy, happy for
Hello and welcome to the Badass University All-Stars League, and Season 2 is really fun. Yesterday, myself and Tudors, well, we watched a couple of these top 4 positions jump around a little bit. We saw Triton, and I do believe it was... I'm gonna think in my head. I've got to remember the team names. I've slept since
rooting for
then,
you.
Jerry, but I'll get back to it.
Begins with
I'm
L.
McCready. I'm the perpetual caster, it feels, for the Badass University All-Stars. Yes, the lockdown leaders are Tritons. They've taken the 2nd and 3rd place. Princesses still have that position at the top. But Randy Ravens and the Imperium of Mandem, they still have real opportunities to really make a dent in this leaderboard. Jerry, what do you think looking at it? How can you break it down?
Well, it's pretty simple. Triton and Lockdown Lunans, they've jumped up, and today, Imperium of Mandem, Randy Ravens, they could jump back up again. They could reclaim their place that they lost yesterday. So that could happen, but the Froggers and Sniper Monkeys will probably have something to say about that. It's a lovely honour to be here with you, McCready. As you say, the
thank
sort
you.
of perpetual caster here for BUAL at the moment. I'm sort of taking 1 week, basically doing one a week at the moment, which is quite nice. I've decided to sport something I like to call the crime against humanity today.
I think it's zazzy, actually. I respect that. I think it works well with you. I don't think it's that bad.
I find it's pretty offensive. Like you're gonna like this or you're gonna hate it. I think it's definitely a Marmite shirt.
I think if I wore it, it'd be very jarring, but I think it works for you, man.
Eventually, I don't
You
know.
look good.
I think because I'm a nice kind of like blank palette. Like there's not much going on here, so I have to make this interesting, right? But yeah, anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about the matches today. We've hinted at the schedule already, so maybe we can have a look at that. Here we go. So, Opening match tonight is, of course, going to be Froggers versus the Imperium of Mandem. Imperium of Mandem so far have looked very, very strong. Froggers less so, but they're not doing too badly. They've managed to scrape together a couple of wins so far, so they're sitting down in 8th position. Still potentially possible for them to reach the top 4, but it's I think it's really sort of slipping out of their grasp now with only 3 play days left, and they are what? 7? No, they are 8 points behind. They would literally need to win every single game remaining, so to get top 4. So yeah, this is do or die for them. And Sniper Monkeys, Randy Ravens, very similar story. Sniper Monkeys just ahead on 6 points, ahead of the Froggers, that is, in 7th place. So again, do or die for them. Whereas, you know, Randy Ravens, Imperium of Mandem, they're almost solidified in their opportunity to get to that final top 4, but they're battling it out to make sure of it, and of course for seeding the finals. So big stakes right now. It's right in that kind of crucial turning point of the season. This is where it really starts to hot up, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that you touched upon. Randy Ravens and the Mandem, well, they're in a position where they can go for that top 4 spot, but they need to do that. They need to make that happen. Whereas on the flip side, Froggers and Sniper Monkeys, it's possible, but it needs a huge turnaround, and it needs to start today. If this game is a loss, well, like you said, we're going to see the Froggers. They're going to be knocked out of the running for that playoff. Sniper Monkeys, they have to win their game as well. Otherwise, it might be a bit too out of their grasp. I feel like this is the moment for both of these teams. These are about as good as the matchups are really going to get. I feel like Sniper Monkeys is a real opportunity to beat out Randy Ravens. But Sniper Monkeys, it's a team that have had quite a bit of issues, in my opinion, of they've had a lot of potential. They've had a lot of big names behind them, but it just wasn't there. Yeah. Whereas Randy Ravens, they've had that rise story. They've had the redemption arc. They started out rough, and now they've really started to pick things up. And Mally on that roster, he's no stranger to this. This happened before with Sturksy from the Sniper Monkeys. In Czechsland, in Season 1, they struggled, they got knocked out very quickly, then they brought it back. Then they were able to get those wins on the board and actually win it all out. But at the moment, they're both fighting just to stay in it. Looking towards our first matchup, though, Imperium of Mandem, they're looking ultimately the stronger side moving in. And speaking about this side, let's bring this roster up very quickly and see exactly who is there. And remind ourselves of who these players are. It's been a bit of a while since I've seen them. Scipio, Angelix, Rose, DJ7, and the Dob will be bringing up the Imperium of Mandem, whereas on the side of the Froggers, Reversed, Flow, Vulcanoid, Yukio, and Mirth will be looking to fight to stay in the battle to try and get themselves that playoff spot.
Yeah, they certainly are. There's some real standout players on both sides here. Reversed for the Froggers, I've seen do fantastic things. Vulcanoid as well has stepped up to the plate at various points. I'm looking over at Imperium of Mandem, and I feel as though every single one of them has had some sort of stellar moment, but the real name that keeps coming up and time again, for me at least, is Angelix, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can accomplish today. It's interesting you draw that comparison between Imperium of Mandem and Randy Ravens. They're both playing today. They both had incredible seasons, especially after a slightly rough start. Randy Ravens are flying now. They're on form. Imperium of Mandem also haven't lost in about 4 game weeks. So really the ones to beat. And I think Froggers, they couldn't have asked for a tougher or more informed side to come up against as the most sort of crucial match of the season. Unfortunately for them as well, they forfeit their most recent game against Sniper Monkeys, and that has just put them in a really difficult situation, especially when you look at their fixture list. They've got Triton as well as Lockdown Ludens ahead. So if they can beat out Imperium of Mandem here, then suddenly those obstacles appear surmountable. But if they can't, well, their season's not only over, but it's looking like it's going to be a difficult one for the rest of those results anyway.
Yeah, I think you kind of sum it up very, very nice. And a nice little bow. But let's bring up these map bans as well, because, well, simply put, the maps, they're going to be very, very important. This is the point where if Froggers, they're able to get onto a map they're comfortable on, then they have a real opportunity. Now, Oregon and Cathay will be taken away with the auto ban, as the wonderful feature of that 2-week ban will be coming through. Chalet and Consulate will fall as well. Consulate, not really a surprise. We saw it yesterday, and we saw Triton really excel on there. And I think Imperium of Mandem are like, well, let's not take Froggers there. Froggers have played it before. They've looked quite okay. They've looked quite decent on it. They took, I believe, Coconut Crack to overtime in the very first Playday, so it makes a lot of sense to take that off the board.
It certainly does, and we've got the final two bans coming through there, Villa and Coastline, meaning that our arena will be Clubhouse. So, like we've said in past casts, McGreedy, it's a fairly sort of neutral ground. Most teams will have a good Clubhouse under their belt. But noticeably, Imperium of Mandem have that opportunity to choose either Coastline or Clubhouse, and they opt for what is arguably the safer bet. They're, sticking to their guns, I would say, and not opting to say, Froggers, we're going to take you to a froggy map and, risk losing to, the potential kind of monkey strats that can come out in Coastline. I'm glad that we're seeing a Clubhouse in a strange way, despite the amount that we get to see it. It's a nice map.
The froggy map,
Yeah.
I quite like that. That's quite nice. Imperium of Mandem, those monkeys that you talked about, if you look at their little logo, well, the Imperium of Mandem, they're no stranger to Clubhouse. They've played it before against some strong teams and have performed very, very well. It's clearly a map that they're comfortable on, and when you think about the quality of Siege players, a lot of these players have that competitive experience in T4 as well, so it doesn't surprise me when you look at Clubhouse and say they're comfortable to go there. They should know how to play Clubhouse. They should know exactly what they're doing, what they're meant to be doing at each point. Now, we do need to take into account that yesterday that new patch went through, so the Jaeger recoil, it's a little different. The Jackal ammo, a little bit less, and the Tachanka's switch time is just that little bit less. Kind of making it a lot scarier, but I don't think anything's really going to have the same impact as that Jaeger recoil change, because you think about it, Jerry, right? You've known something the entirety of the game, the entire lifetime that you've played it, as my camera seems to die a little bit, but yeah, it's fine. And they've changed it. Think about the R4C. If I had that G36 recoil suddenly one day, it's going to be quite jarring. And I've seen yesterday some teams actually in NA, they actually opted to go for a Wamaya Rooney combo and hard stick that on Oregon instead of bringing a Jaeger.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to have something that's so well established in the game change just overnight like that. And you can bet your life that the Jaegers will come back because he still provides something quite unique. He's a massive resource for utility. The gun is still very good. It's manageable. It just takes a bit more control, a bit more getting used to. But, if you can manage an SMG-11 recoil, which I know a lot of people can't, but it's a challenge. The carbine is a great payoff still, right? You still got a ton of damage for any, compared to most offensive guns, still packs a punch, and if you can control it, then you're still using, you're still bringing in a great operator. So I don't expect to see long-term his pick rate decline hugely, personally, but I think that it's a good move overall because it's going to force people to kind of think twice about bringing their sort of stock operator. I just want to jump back onto the point about map bans, sorry, because having a sort of closer look at these maps so far, Clubhouse is where we're going. And funnily enough, only once have each of these teams played Clubhouse this season. And strangely, it is one of the only times that we've seen Imperium of Mandem fall. They lost 7-5 on Clubhouse to Triton in week 2. And conversely, Froggers also had their only victory, or their only regulation victory, on Clubhouse, 7-2. That was against the Minutemen, who at the moment are sort of proving themselves to be the kind of wooden spoon of the league, which maybe skews the result somewhat. But that one bit of sample is perhaps enough to give us a bit of a hope of a potential upset here.
Yeah, I wouldn't say an upset, but I'd say a closer game. I'd say a much better opportunity for the Froggers to push through and win it out. But simply put, the IOM, they're not going to be taking us to this map if they weren't comfortable for it. That's the main thing for me. They won't want to go to Clubhouse if they haven't looked at it and worked out a lot of these key issues from when they played Triton. And a big thing about that is gotta be just being able to tighten up the basics. The droning, the refrags, playing together, and keeping that little checklist in mind. That's the big thing for Clubhouse. The teams that can't accomplish that will lose. I feel like Imperium of Mandem, it's just tightening down on these mechanics and those little things. That's where they're really going to start improving. That's where they're going to see that difference. And going up against Froggers, who they haven't had the best run so far. Well, it's a good position. It's a really strong position. If you can get the basics down, you should be okay. Now, Jerry, we are going to be heading into the game, and the bands, well, they've got a lot to offer. But, well, 9 times out of 10, we just keep having the same meal on the plate. Typically, that Thatcher, Maverick, Cade, and insert X defender here doesn't really matter at that point. But the first operator that IOM are going to take away, going to be that Thatcher.
Yeah, that's perfectly sort of expected here. Now, the second attacking ban usually has a big impact on the game. Whether it's Maverick or not has a huge say, as Maverick just allows you to bypass all the sorts of breach denial utility that can be brought. So if he gets banned, then suddenly operators like Kaid, like Mute, like Bandit become very viable. That being said, he's not going to be banned. Frog is opting to ban Jackal, so Maverick able to be in play, and a lot of those breach denial operators going to feel a lot weaker now. I expect this to be slightly more attacker favored with Maverick in action. Now, the defense bans, this should be quite interesting. Just looking at the history, we've seen Froggers ban out Malusi in response to a Kaid ban before, so we may well see them ban Kaid here. In fact, it's going to be a Valkyrie from Froggers. Interesting there. And that is going to limit the defense even more. These are very kind of anti-defense bans. I would say this is going to be this is going to lean very favorably in the attacker direction as much as Clubhouse can. And then, interestingly enough, last time Imperium of Mandem played, they also faced a Kaid ban. They may be comfortable with that. Yes, they will. So, Kaid coming out there. Again, it's one of those strange things when you see Thatcher and Kaid going out in the banned phase. Because Thatcher being banned obviously does mean that Kaid is very effective. But if you know you're going to be banning Kaid, then there's a thought of, why ban Thatcher in the first place? It's just a kind of a state of play that a team like to operate under, right? They're used to not having to deal with Electro Claws, not having to deal with Thatcher EMPs. And of course, it's not a linear or a purely sort of, it's not a binary relationship between those two. There are other interactions that they all have with each other. So, I feel as though with Maverick being let through, especially, then Kaid is a very soft ban. Valk is probably going to be felt more, if anything, out of these lot.
Yeah, because the Valk ban we've seen rising quite a bit in the past month, and honestly, I'm surprised that this change is happening now. The way I kind of pin it down is that, well, IQ doesn't get brought as much because Echo isn't invisible. A lot of teams opt for Maestro anymore, and you don't need an IQ to spot a Maestro. If you do, something's kind of wrong, let's be honest. But the Valkyrie, well, you can hide those cameras in very, very tight angles, and when you have an IQ on the board, that's not an issue. But if we're in a meta where IQ just doesn't see this pick rate anymore, then these Valk cams, they suddenly get a lot more powerful. Think about that bottom floor. Think about kitchen. There's so many nooks and crannies. I think I've got a video on my channel. It's privated, only for very special people to see, where I go through quite a lot of Clubhouse and CAF and all these different maps. I just go through all the stinkiest camp positions. Yes, I'll link it to you afterwards, but that's why I think a Valk ban is very important. The K ban you said was a very soft ban. It wasn't very impactful, and here's why. The war's going to get opened up with Maverick anyway. No matter what you try and do, that Maverick is going to have that impact. Cade not being banned has a huge impact, but Scipio is going to make one of their own. The Blackbeard's going to be taken away, and that's really going to put the hurting onto Froggers for the opening kill, because, well, when that Maverick is on that wall, normally 9 times out of 10, if there's a Blackbeard on the board, they're going to be covering that line of sight. It's not going to be happening now, Jerry.
No, certainly not. And Blackbeard basically employs that singular position. Again, not the strongest of attack picks. You think as you look at this lineup and you notice there's a notable absence of Zofia and overall a lack of self-destruction. So they may struggle when it comes to facing down certain utility, but Rose is going to make a lot of that not matter, as they're just removing bodies before they even get a chance to remove utility. So down goes the Nomad. Again, one of the sort of lesser picks, it would seem, and Vulcanoid at least finds Rose in return. So that Jaeger, with the new recall at least put to bed, they have the breach open, but that's all that these operators can really do. Now you're looking at the one smoke grenade on the side of Vulcanoid. Of course, the Eagle-Eyed or those in the Noah Monk, you will notice that Thermite now has smokes. He no longer has that Claymore. He's been given smoke grenades and traded it with ace, which is quite nice, so expect to see a fair bit more of him. Mr. Joe takes down Angelix, a very key fragging threat on the side of Imperium of Mandem, and that 5 versus 3 has swiftly become a 3 versus 3.
Yes, a 3 versus 3, like you say. Dob still has control of the rafters and has a lot of potential to have a lot of hurt in this round. Mr. Joe, that sub coming in from the Minutemen, looking to stay alive a bit longer than a minute from what we've seen. They've kind of struggled. Zodi will be putting the nail in the coffin for Mr. Joe as the Ash gets taken away. The rest of the Froggers, well, they're going to have to sprint into action. They don't really have time to clear out utility anymore. They realize something has got to happen. Murph is going to be pushing down the bottom of these garage stairs. The Dob doesn't know about it and will be taken away. Able to even out that player count now. The Froggers, they're getting ready for a push. This red stairs position. This is all that stands between the attackers and a plant. Volcanoid just waits on the breach. Just holds the lines of sight as Scipio prepares down below with the C4. Very nicely timed. Very good delaying action coming through from the smoke. And Volcanoid, she knows this red stairs is going to be an issue. She doesn't want to push in. And as such, Murph is going to have to get onto the attack. Scipio will be taking it down that C4. It's not going to have the impact. Zodi's going to have to go on the hunt. But Murph's able to find the kill. And Froggers, well, they're going to frag their way to the top of that first round.
Froggers, more like fraggers in the 3 versus 5. They put it back. I know, it's a silly
literally just said it, Jerry.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
I know. I just
if you're
had
gonna
to
steal
reiterate it, you know? It's fine. It's fine. We've got it out of our system now. We both got it out of our system now, so we can let it be. I'm sure it won't happen again. Wink, wink. So, let's digest that round. Very good stuff from Froggers to recover from the 3 versus 5, as mentioned. Scipio getting on that scoreboard early was huge and then rose in tow. But after that point, Imperium of Mandem failed to recognise that they held that advantage and that they could quite simply wait for the oncoming push of Froggers. It's very difficult to win out that site if you have bodies stacked in defensive positions, top of red stairs, inside of cash. I don't think that Imperium of Mandem recognised that. I think that they probably should have played it a bit safer, and they have cost themselves for it. Unfortunately, that's how it goes. You've got to be a lot more on the ball. And that's basically all it came down to. Strangely enough, all that was needed was that big breach to come through from Volcanoid to be successful. And it opened up everything. The kill onto the rafters player was especially important. But it always is. And really, I think that, yeah, Imperium of Mandem, they're right to be going back here again, because it wasn't necessarily the strategy that failed them, it was more of the execute. What I do want to say, though, is, with a Maverick on board, is there really much point in sticking those batteries on the wall? Unless you're expecting to get a very early pick onto the Maverick, those are going to disappear immensely quickly.
Well, I think Froggers, right, they're going to be coming into this game, obviously, like we said, that underdog card, whereas Imperium of Mandem, they're the favourites. They're probably expecting to play this confidently with those opening kills. And if they're able to pick up that Maverick, well, it can cause a lot of issues. The drone goes outside, and Mr. Joe will fall as well, with Angelix picking up the opening frag again. And while we all take a little bit of a laugh at the drone, not just the drone died. Angelix being able to find that kill, you've immediately put the Froggers at player disadvantage. Everything they do now, even if they find another kill, it's all going to be just playing catch-up. One frag grenade won't be able to catch the bandit charges on that wall, and so the Dob will come around with a C4 in pocket. And the Banshee, oh, not a C4, but a Banshee being placed there. They realize the breach is going to get opened, the light scan will come through, and they're just going to play it safe. But the breach hasn't got open. That's the big thing. The Maverick of Murph has decided to pull back. Zodi's taken some damage, but, well, right now, IOM, they just bunker in. They sit pretty. This wall staying shut is horrible. Scipio will be able to find another kill. The Nomad being taken away. The air jabs, they will fall. And so will Froggers' chances of winning out this round like they did in the last one.
Oh, the irony of the Nomad being flanked. I believe that's twice in a row as well. And finally this breach gets open. I'm not quite sure why they go the long way about it to throw that frag over when they know that Kaids is out of play. They can quite simply be targeting low and get those bandit batteries. But I guess they're fearful of being shot out around their feet. And I think that that's just a bit strange, because Froggers, they should be thriving with confidence right now after the way they won that last round. Rose, though, is going to make sure that we don't see that turnaround that we saw last time. 3 versus 5 instead becomes a 2 versus 5, and now Hazard and Volcanoid left scrambling, just waiting maybe for some over-aggression from Imperium of Mandem. Hazard gets caught out at the bottom of red. Scipio claimed his second for the round, and now Volcanoid is just left in the 1 versus 5. It's going to take some real heroics from this position. I don't see it happening. Do you, McCready?
Not really, because where Volcanoid is in a 1 versus 5, still outside the building with 40 seconds left, there's not much time for smoke and mirrors. You've got to go in, you've got to double down, and you've just got to push. Scipio's going to be waiting in stock, not really leaving at all. Did for a little bit, but then retook control, and, well, that's going to be Imperium of Mandem being able to find that kill. Not even aiming down sights, because Scipio realizing, oh, 1 versus 5, I think we can afford to go for something like that, and you will be able to get it. Now, the Froggers, I feel like, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. The aggression wasn't there. They simply weren't ready to capitalize and keep that pace that we saw from Mirth and Flo in the last round. We didn't see them ready to just get in, do the dirty work. They were just being picked off time and time again. There was no answer at all from the Froggers. The breach didn't get opened up. The stock control wasn't there. It felt very much like Froggers, they were leapfrogging a lot of key things that they needed to do. But, simply put, they didn't. They didn't clear out stock. They didn't get the wall open. They didn't even get the Ash inside the building. And that's the player that needs to clear the utility. At that point, then the Maverick had to start using the Maverick Torch and the frag grenades to get the Bandit charge, and said, oh, we don't have it. They didn't even try. They just left it. It's like, we don't have the breach. Let's just leave it.
Yeah, there's a couple of problems with that take, and particularly twice in a row now we've seen Froggers lose the opening frag to someone just wide swinging inside of stock. You can't really allow that to happen, especially when you've got 2 entrances to stock. Just have someone spawn over by Dirt Tunnel and enter through the other doorway, and suddenly at least you're in a position to be able to refrag if someone's playing really aggressive from that position. And you want to get bodies into stock. Either that, and you hinted at this perhaps, where you said they didn't even get the bodies into position to clear the utility from beneath. You don't actually need to get them in the building. There's an angle from main door that Mr. Joe, or anyone at least with range utility, can be taking up. Thank you very much for the science to highlight this. A Gon 6 can do this from beneath. You can shoot out the bandit battery on Catchwall without even setting foot inside. So, nice little trick there, in case anyone was wondering. It's strangely very little known. It's been around for a while, but this is why, for instance, you see sometimes 1-eye magnets thrown about in lounge just to soak up a bit of utility. But it seems as though at this level it would be wise to just be that one step ahead and go for that play, because it's a nice little trick that you could probably get away with here.
Yes. Now, Volcanoid is able to open up part of this hatch. Well, the big thing is, already been partially successful. Rose doesn't really have to think about it with the impact trick. Just get over there. Just get it. The double commit of Rose and Scipio allows for this impact trick to be successful. Joe is going to look for the kill to shut it down, and we'll be able to find Rose. Scipio's trying to find the refrag, but not in time to get the impact trick off. A very, very nice read into the play there, just saying, we've got to find a kill. We've got to get something. We've got to distract them and apply pressure. That's what they needed to do, but they still need to keep it going. They've struggled quite a bit in doing this, and now that they have this top floor control, Nomad air jabs, they're going to go out. Flo, hopefully, will stay alive a little bit longer and won't get flanked as well. But Imperium of Mandem, they realize with a Maverick on the board and no Cade, you've got to bunker down. That's exactly what they're going to be doing. The utility, the Boyo Shields, the Banshees, the Goo Mines, the Smoke Canisters, it's designed to do that. And right now, Froggers have a huge ask ahead of them. Mr. Joe will be knocked down, and the Froggers players are down over by main stairs, realizing they've got to get aggressive as that Ash will be taken away. The push with a minute left, it has to come through. Mr. Joe, the only player of the Minutemen, is taken away, but take a little bit of that name and say, well, Minutemen, you've got a minute, it's time to push.
Certainly is, and they've got enough openings now that Imperium of Mandem can't be sitting very pretty. The key position in this situation is blue, but Angelix is not going to make it matter by just peeking along and finding the Ash of Mr. Joe very quickly. So nicely done by him. The Dob, oh wow, this is falling apart very quickly now for Froggers as Hazard goes down. Unfortunately, it's a 2 versus 4, and Volcanoid and Flo. They've only got 1 kill between them at the moment. They're going to need to step it up and collect 4 to get a victory in this round. With only 20 seconds left, it's looking pretty dire. A couple of flashes, in fact, plenty of flashes in hand. If they manage to use them successfully, that will be a part of the success. But Flower opens things up, gets Zodi immediately shut back down by the angle from Canadian, by Angelix. And now this is going to be really tough with the Banshee singing out. It's ringing loud and clear, the positioning of Angelix. And with only a second left, manages to claim the life of Angelix, Vulcanoid does, but can't get into the site, can't find the remaining 2 frags, can't rescue his teammate, and cannot rescue the round for Froggers.
Yeah, and there's something we need to point out, and that's the fact that this Lion, I didn't even recognize there was a Lion on the lineup, and I'll tell you exactly why. Never used the gadget, never used the utility. You talked about those flashbangs that can be used to clear it, but it just wasn't there. The Froggers, they didn't use it at all. They got Mr. Joe to push in. Mr. Joe died. So then they said, okay, main stairs. That's our entry point. We've got to get going. We have somebody on Moto to watch the flank and make sure nobody pushes up. But, well, Angelix was able to just walk up. 1 Lion scan, and you give yourselves an in. You can get to that triple wall. You can get a crossfire setup. You can look towards that position. Suddenly, you don't have to worry so much. That's not what happened. Froggers, they walked into the kill boxes. The time was ticked down. The revive was not going to come out for Vulcanoid. It was just going to be pushed onto site. You didn't even have time for that. Imperium Mandem going to gym bedroom, the tertiary site, looking to get a full rotation off comfortably. And the mirrors can be brought out alongside the Arumi. This utility, this time waste, you look at the Imperium Mandem lineup coming through, this is the last triumphant call of the 22nd meta. This is it in its entirety that you can bring it at least. Very tiered defensive style where you have cash, you pull back to construction, and that's a key point you need to hold, which is why the mirror window's there. And then you just pull back to bathroom. Into bedroom. You have players defending that jacuzzi wall, making sure they can't catch you from behind, and you have a player in Logi to deal with construction and Logi. Right now, Froggers, I feel like a lot of coordination and a lot of utility usage, which hasn't been there before. That's going to be their key to winning this.
It certainly is, and I think they're setting themselves off on a bad foot by consistently bringing operatives that don't necessarily contribute as heavily in that utility department. And Scipio, I mean, fair enough, he's playing the Legion, so it's not like it's perfect on the Imperium of Mandem's side, but other than that, you've got maximal utility usage on Imperium of Mandem for this setup. That being said, no wall denial, which is hilarious because Froggers opt to not bring a Maverick this one round, and a simple mute jammer would have been able to lock out the entirety of the attack that round, so this round in fact. So yeah, some very odd sort of selection of operators on both sides, if you ask me. And I mean, you can't blame Imperium of Mandem for not bothering to bring Waldenau if they expect the Maverick to come along.
Okay.
Perhaps Froggers have just big-brained it and said, you know what, we don't need the Maverick. They're not going to try and deny walls. We will just bring the Lion instead. That said, they need to be playing into his playstyle a bit more. They need to be hunting particular enemies at once, going for those 2 versus 1s, making it impossible for Imperium of Mandem to come out on top. And instead, taking a little bit too long for my liking. They're being very, very cautious, and it's resulting in situations like this where angles are just being held by defenders, and the attackers can't push them quickly enough. Rose managing to find the Nomad. Once again, Flower going down near the very start of the round, and Rose getting an opening frag. At least it's refragged by Hazza, but with 1 minute and 12 seconds left, you've managed to refrag that opening pick, and you've only gained control of catch. This needs to be a little bit quicker on my opinion.
Yes, and the crossfire from the Dob is going to be able to find Hazza looking for another one. Like you said, the Froggers have sold out, and now the Imperium of Mandem, they're going to strike. They're going to be able to find a kill to Murph and Vulcanoid, and Mr. Joe is stuck outside. Like you said, they're just not playing into the aggressive playstyle that Lion demands. You need to take control of these positions. You need to take control of the gunfights. And, well, that's just not been happening. Mr. Joe's currently sat outside on the balcony. A lot of angles to cover. We'll be able to down the Dob, but, well, there's just going to be another 3 guns all looking to his direction. Mr. Joe goes to the pre-fire, knows you can't try and confirm the Dob. Might not even know that the Dob is down, actually, but that doesn't matter. Because you're in a position where the round essentially is lost. Scipio looking for the kill, realizes, I'll just get the revive. That's the right play to make. Decides not to, though, and just drops. Right now, you've just forced the Ash to jump into CCTV with 30 seconds left. The kill hunting will come through, Mr. Joe confirms dub, but doesn't get Scipio. And the ultimate dub itself of the round win, Jerry, that's not going to happen. Like you said, we saw Rose, the Lion. It is used to clear out roamers, like you said. You have one person from one angle, say Garage, one person coming in from Lounge. You get the player in Garage with that Lion scan. They can't move, they give away the information, and they die. You don't flush out anchors with it. Rose didn't have to move, so they didn't. They held the position, held the angles. The swing did come through from Hazard with the Lion, but it didn't have any impact. You're looking at the time that was wasted because they didn't want to use Lion the effective way. And you talk about that jacuzzi wall being opened, but Froggers didn't really take anything for that either. No. They just kind of stalled out in a huge way. And I think that's because they kind of saw that bathroom line of defense. Angelix had the wall, a Rooney gate, and the mirror window for bathroom, and I think they just kind of said, let's not worry about it. Let's help the others. Let's go on these balconies. That's where the kills came out, and Mr. Joe got left alone.
Yeah, it was a sordid affair, really, for Froggers, unfortunately. I think at the end, we saw Mr. Joe, I believe it was, typing, kind of wish he was a 4-speed, possibly referring to the Ash. I don't think a 4-speed is going to save you in that situation. Even looking at the macro situation, it's 1 versus 4, trying to get a couple of kills inside a CCTV, suppose you manage that. Suppose you've got 30 seconds left and you get it down to 1 versus 2. Diffuser was still jacuzzi wall. Every situation, like in every situation there, the defenders can just spread themselves thin, force the attack to come to those 1 versus 1s because the timer is on their side. And usually you think, oh yeah, when you're outnumbering the attack, you go for the refrag. But there, you don't even have to risk it. You don't have to stack up and risk the potential, loss of a 1 versus 2. Or loss of a 2 versus 1, I'd say.
See, Jerry,
simply it's such a weird situation.
Yeah, I'm sorry for talking over you. It won't happen again, Dad, but... But simply put, that's that tier defense that we talked about. Well, it's Froggers. It's like a wedding cake with tiers. They got full on the starter. They didn't even make it to the cake. Right now, though, they are going to be successful in getting this bandit off the wall. Scipio down below won't have a chance to stop it, but this is the first time we've seen Froggers open up the wall. Dob has got a shield to play with. The frag grenades have been taken away. And you don't have an Ash on the board. You don't have a Zephyr. That shield has just become a huge power position. Raptors can also get a crossfire with it as well. IOM, they seem to just be reading into the lineups and saying, well, they don't have an Ash or Zephyr. They're going to use the frag grenades to the wall again like they have. Let's bring the Wamai. Let's bring some shields and some Banshees that they can't deal with now, Jerry.
Yeah, and the shield is just going to be a superb power position for anyone that wants to move to it. Angelix and Rose right now are holding on to Garage with quite a lot of vehemence, and you can see Rose managing to kill Volcanoid through that door, but immediately traded out by Mr. Joe. That sub stepping up and keeping that score or that man count even for the very least. You've got to think about this in terms of like the fact that now that these throwables are all virtually useless, there's nothing really to burn through the ADSs. There's nothing to destroy these bulletproof pieces of utility. What utility do you have on the attack that can be used elsewise? You've got those Blackbeard shields. You've got to be hoping that you win a couple of 1v1s off the back of those. Otherwise, that's fairly useless. You've got to be hoping that those air jabs prove incredibly important. Otherwise, that's going to be useless. Scipio is also going to prove that Mr. Joe will be useless for the rest of this round. And then Murph going down, Angelix taking him out. And finally, we see some hope for Froggers as Flow manages to get a pick onto Cash from construction. That could actually be huge, because if they manage to push into site, then they have an opportunity to plant. Scipio and the Dob still playing around the site will have to catch any entrance that comes through as it goes. They've got Banshees to support that, and no hard breach means it's going to have to be a funnel through this door. But with the Blackbeard shield on side, maybe anything is possible.
Yes, and Hazard's going to be able to find 1 kill, but Angelix gets the refrag. Flu has to push through. That shield is still there. The Red Stairs player is there. As soon as Scipio's dead, someone looks at that position and holds the angle, and Angelix is going to be able to take it down. Imperium of Mandem, while there might be a Warhammer reference, they were going more towards the Greek mythology. They went for the Hydra and said, 1 head, 2 more. Simply put, as soon as that Red Stairs player died to Flo, Scipio was up there, held that position, and then Froggers, they gained essentially nothing. Yeah, you spread the defenders thin, you get an extra kill on the board, but no, it wasn't there, if that makes sense. You didn't have anything to show, you just had a little bit longer to clear out that position. The big thing was there was no Ashe, there was no Zofia, and we keep saying it, but it's that important. Froggers, all their decision making is essentially based around the fact that they don't have any utility clearance. They've got to work their way around. That's why that shield and CCTV, it got so powerful, because they couldn't deal with it. They had to push in, expose themselves to Red Stairs. You couldn't just have a quick swing. If you had somebody on the breach like a Zofia to take it out earlier in the round, well then Angelix isn't playing as aggressive. You're not feeding the information. You're not saying simply to Angelix, okay, well somebody's going red. Just pre-fire the rotate, that's where they're heading. It was free information that Froggers could do nothing about other than over-aggress on. Instead, they had to sit in cash and just wait for death, really. Now, though, Imperium and Mandem, they're going to be heading back to the bottom floor on the final round of this split. Zodi with that dirt hold, looking to really have an impact. Last time we were here, we saw a severe lack of utility usage, really. The Lion Scan, it wasn't used, and that was a big point now that I had to make. Rose, though, let's go be looking for the spawn peak. We'll talk about the setup, but this spawn peak I think we need to talk about first, just in case.
Yep, just in case Flower gets their head taken off, but it looks as though playing it safe, entering into Strip Club instead, so won't be caught out by that particular spawn peak. Scipio trying a different one is going to take the better half of the damage though, and Rose has scooted on out to a different location. May come into contact with Mr. Joe, who looks to be coming into stock at this point. I've never seen so many bodies stacked inside of Armory in my life. There's like 4 players underneath Kitchen Hatch. Are they all going to try an impact trick? We've got 4 impacts and 1 C4. Angelic's with that C4 as the Goyo, but he's looking to leverage this Vector first of all. First impact will come out and it won't successfully deny all of those pellets. So you do see some hatch work being done. Looks like the second one's failed as well. So open goes the hatch, and I'm not quite sure what was going on with those impacts there, but either way, it hasn't worked. We hear air jabs go out, Flow managing to get down that useful utility early in the round makes for a good start and a good change. I'm now somewhat hopeful for Froggers because of all the rounds where, you know, I think we've seen different operator selection every single round from the very start. This one looks the most promising in the face of what they're up against. If there was a Kaid on the board, that'd be a very different story, or a bandit or anything, a mute. To deny Church Wall, that would be a different story. But because there isn't, they don't need the Maverick, and they haven't brought it, so right now they could be getting the maximum benefit. Angelix will fall. That's a C4 gone without being used, and that Vector also out of the picture.
Jerry demonstrating he's a psycho a little bit because well, that was my point exactly. No Cade on the board meant that Habana had so much more usefulness, and as such, Murph, a lot of utility for this late round. Think about that triple wall on Church, that main floor push. Well, that can actually get used. You can open up the lines of sight, and then the Ashe charges will be used on the Goyo shield. The Froggers realizing with 50 seconds on the board, they're going to have to get ready for a push. But Rose knows, as a player on the blue stairs, you hold this blue, you have a huge power position. You can rotate around, and Rose gonna be able to find the kill, will find Volcanoid. Froggers, they don't really have time to rotate a player around. You've just got to push from where you are. Hazza, at very high risk of a flank right now. But the rest of the Froggers who start to move in. That triple wall, it will be opened up, but Murph has to move forward. And the Dob is just waiting as Flo takes some damage. Murph, there's no droning going on from the Froggers right now. They're all looking, and a smoke canister will go off. 15 seconds, the diffuser has to go through. Dom knows exactly where Murph is. This is going to be horrible. The kill comes out for Murph, but the refrag, it's not going to come through. Because the Dob's just going to let it happen. Oh no! The trade! Murph's going to be able to start getting that plant down. Scipio fighting a kill to Hazza means a 2 versus 1. A retake can't take place. But Murph's able to find a 3rd kill. Scipio will find it. And a 5-1 split for the Imperium of Mandem. Blood for the Blood God. But not the way the Mandem expected it.
That was so close. You saw the trigger disappear on Dob, and then it just went whamming back in their face, the trade coming through from the Nomad, and suddenly all hell broke loose. Amazing stuff there from the Froggers, just about to get the diffuser down, but couldn't hold it in the post plant. And in the 2 versus 1, he still managed to get a kill, didn't he? The ace, that was so close from Murph, almost completing some heroics there, but that's not what matters at the end of the day. Their first plant has been diffused, and that marks the end of a really poor half, unfortunately, for Froggers.
Honestly, I think that was a better round than the one that they actually won, because they got the hatch open in kitchen. Like you said, there was no Cade. They could just walk that Hibana around, and because they had the ace, they didn't have to be very conservative with it.
He's been banned, doesn't he? So
what has been banned?
No, Cade was banned. So
Sorry, I just thought. Yeah. But look at this, right? Dob realizes the longer you wait, the better. But suddenly, Flo realizes they haven't checked. She hasn't checked the quarter, and is able to find that trade. That could have gone absolutely incredibly different. And the player advantage would have been great in favor of Imperial Mandem at that point. No, it came down to that 2 versus 1. But as I was saying, Froggers, they got the hatch open. There's no Cade. They rotate around, they get the other ones. The ace is able to do half reach without worrying about anything. The kitchen, that was the hardest hurdle, and they got over. Now, we're going back to CCTV, and the Froggers, well, they're getting a mirror window on the actual breach itself. A lot of people kind of go for more of a cash-orientated mirror hold, but there is merit to this idea, let's be honest. And this allows you to apply a lot of pressure onto this Maverick, which may or may not be on the board. You don't know if you're the Froggers. You're looking at this and it's like, do they really want to walk up? Do they really want to look at this? They could pop at any time, but even worse, if we make this line of sight, if we make a Maverick hole, the C4 could be right there. A gun barrel of the Vector, no less. Looking through that angle could be a lot of problems for the attackers. Right now, though, the Imperial Mandem, they're going to take their time. They're going to be careful. They're going to get the preliminary drone work done. And as a result, Flo will have to feel like she has to pull back. Realistically, she does. That's a very difficult position to be in if you're being droned out and they know where you are. The ping's constantly coming. She's not shooting the drone. She's too worried about this push, Jerry.
Finally gets hold of one of those drones. So Dob is forcing their way in. Zodi will collect the first frag of the round onto the rafters player of Hazard. That's huge. But Volcanoid beneath is going to make sure that Zodi can't climb it for free. There's a kill from Oil Pit coming through there. But the Dob has just walked up red and has gotten a double kill. That's site control in the hands of Imperial Mandem. Murph shuts the Dob down, but has to deal with another in the name of Angelics, and does! Volcanoid and Murph now in the 2 versus 2. This is so quickly collapsed into 90 seconds left, and only 4 players left in the lobby.
Yeah, well, the Froggers are looking a lot warmer, but Volcanoid, she's going to be dead cold in the ground. Rose, all on there, is going to find that kill, and Murph all on his own. Looking for some huge heroics like we saw in that last round. Last round, you brought down to a 1 versus 1, but fell. Yes, some G11 from this range with this pixel can have a lot of impact. It can hit hard and hit fast, but the drone work will come through. They'll know exactly where you are, and suddenly red stairs. It's not a playable position. Your plant will start to go down, but the smoke canister, it won't land where it needs to. Rose is gonna be fine. The secondary smoke will go through, but no damage will be done. Scipio on the Ash. If you want one player alive in this 2 versus 1, it's gonna be them. Murph has had a huge impact. Not really going to be seen so far. You have to get on the push. Rose is waiting, looking the wrong way. And Murph will be taken down. The Imperium of Mandem will push us onto match point.
They will 6 rounds in a row. Not a single stumble since that first round loss. And that was a stormer of a take right there. 2 incredibly key anchor positions lost in an instant after some nice roaming to begin with, getting the opening pick. But then losing rafters and then immediately losing red stairs, that's a death sentence in normal circumstances. Yeah. But Murph pulled out all the stops to keep the hopes alive for the Froggers there. Swift double kill, taking out both of those entries. And then comes down to the 1 versus 2. Unfortunate that Volcanoid caught out rotating downstairs from Swamp. And Murph, well, the heroics ended there, unfortunately for him. So this was a very, it was a crazy round. Just didn't expect to see the Yana right there at that moment in time. And here we go, that swift rebuttal. There's that kill onto the player in Swamp, and the final one from Rose. So Rose, really the hero of that 2 versus 2, gaining both the final kills and getting the plant down under intense pressure. seeing Imperium of Mandem onto match point with, well, 5 chances at securing a regulation victory.
Yes, and Froggers, literally that. Froggers, they are in a very tough situation. If they win this, well, they still have the chance to move forward. But, simply put, Jerry, at this point, they can only secure 2 points at best. At worst, they go home with nothing and will no longer be able to qualify for that top 4 playoff spot. Scipio's drone will be undetected. But Volcanoid, she's going to be the opposite. They're going to know she's in garage and looking to cause, well, I'm going to say it, quite a few problems, Jerry.
I think, looking at the maths of it, with that round, it's now impossible for Froggers to make top 4 because Imperium of Mandem guarantee themselves a point, so 4th place is 14, and that's exactly 9 points ahead of the Froggers. So,
okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna need Zodi's Moss after that, dude. That was a bit sus.
Oh, I didn't spot that. I looked away. I was looking at the league table.
It saw a red ping and just started shooting at the hard wall. But right now, we're seeing Mr. Joe with the Wamai and Raptors looking to hold up above. I think, yeah, it was a close round, that last one, but you're on match point. You don't have rounds to waste. Look at that bottom floor. The suppressor on the Org, it's an interesting choice. Maybe not the one I'd go for, but, well, if it works for Mr. Joe, then it works.
It went through a favourable period, I remember. I believe it was Citizen that was running it for a while and seeing a lot of success a couple of minors ago. I can't remember the exact tournament, but I'm, I'm a bit sceptical. I'm sceptical. Yeah, Bull Season 1, that's where the precedent was set. Citizen learned from this. So, the Dob, looking to maybe recreate some of those heroics from last round and storm their way up red stairs. This time there is a Banshee on it, so wouldn't be quite so easy to just sneak up there. Does have a frag grenade in hand and is looking to possibly remove that first and then enable the push, but Hazard is keeping a key eye on it this time round, whereas the Hazard that is the Yana once more. Angelix on the cast, on the server window rather, looking to remove utility while the Dob actually finds that opening frag onto Flow, who I believe was flanking as a Legion, but Volcanoid with a secondary flank will take down the Yana inside of Lounge. Does she know that there's another one hunting, though? Scipio right by on the prowl, coming around to stage, and surely hear the player. The free fire comes through, and that is absolutely lethal. No chance for Volcanoid in that situation now. 3 versus 4, with a minute left to go. Make that 2 versus 4 as Rhodes finds Mr. Joe taking out the Rafters player. This is looking pretty shaky for Froggers.
Yes, now Imperium of Mandem, they can do exactly what they've been doing the whole game. They play together, and they go for refrag. Scipio down below, knowing no utility is on that wall. And right now, Imperium of Mandem, they're looking very, very good to close things down. Scipio with that bottom floor pressure. Suddenly, Murph is not feeling comfortable. And the smoke grenade of the Thermite, which has recently come through, is starting to go down. Smoke canisters, well, they're all gone. There's one C4 on the board, and Hazard, you're gonna need to summon everything to get it, but that's gonna be a kill coming through from Zodi. The C4, the Warp's gonna protect Rose, and they will back up, and Zodi finishes it off. Hazard taken away, and with it, the chances of Froggers making playoffs.
Yep, and that is Imperium of Mandem securing all 3 points from the Playday, pushing themselves up to, I believe, 2nd place. So very nicely done for them. That's a solid 16 points on the leaderboard for them now, and they've done it in about as solid fashion as you can possibly imagine. That first round, bit of a stumble, a bit of a throw if you think about it as well. They were 5 versus 3 at one point on that cash defense and let Froggers steal around the way. Besides that, they were in full control. That was just impeccable stuff from Imperium of Mandem from start to finish, really. You can't fault them. We got to see the strength of Thermite with Smokes at the very end there as well. I'm a big fan of Thermite with Smokes. I love playing him myself. I've been playing a lot of Ace lately because of the strength of those smoke grenades. But what are you going to say? What are you going to tell me?
When did you start playing Siege, just out of curiosity?
When did I start? I've been playing since release. I got it almost released. 27th of December 2015.
Remember the magic that was Thermite with frag grenades?
Oh, I do.
Those are some good old days. But no, the smoke grenades, they have a huge impact. Not getting kills, but enabling the objective game, which is what Siege is at the core.
Imperium Mandem,
yeah, literally what Thermite is built around. Now, the big thing was Imperium of Mandem. They played a tighter game. They got the basics down that I talked about. When we saw a lot of these roamers, it was constantly refrag after refrag when Imperium Mandem was on the attack. They were constantly hunting. As soon as Flo died, well, then Scipio was coming around to get the kill. And that's exactly what happened. That wasn't expected by the Froggers, and I think that's where Imperial Mandem just pipped themselves every single time. Drones were constantly putting pressure on these roamers and getting the information so the roam clear, it didn't struggle. Whereas Froggers, they had a very shaky performance. You have to be honest. Their decision-making, their coordination, it just didn't line up, I think.
There's one exception to that I'd like to point out, and that was Murph. Murph
Yes,
it did be fragging. Like, that was a really good game from Murph, so hats off to Murph. But besides Murph, it didn't seem that anyone on the side of Froggers was able to sort of chain kills together and get these big plays going, so that I think that that's what let them down. Not necessarily anything to do with the sort of strategy. They might have shot themselves in the foot a little bit with their operator selection on attack. Maybe think about dropping the Lion on Clubhouse quite so much, or the Nomad. Not necessary in all situations. Bring that Zofia, bring that Ash, bring us Maverick, especially when he's on the board. Yeah, just think about making your job a bit easier for yourselves and then getting the kills. But Imperial Mandem, yeah, they're plain sailing ahead, and I think that looking at their remaining fixtures, what have they got to play? They've got Randy Ravens next week. That's going to be a huge one. And then Sniper Monkeys in the final week. So they can be fairly confident that they should be able to secure a playoff spot. That match next week against Randy Ravens is going to be the biggest one.
Yeah, they've really got to go in there. I think Randy Ravens, they're not going to be any pushovers. No. They're not going to give no quarter at all. But just to demonstrate exactly what the Imperium of Mandem will be up against next week, we're going to be showing a Randy Ravens and Sniper Monkeys in our next game. But first, we're going to have a very short break. So have a nice little breather, have a drink, have a relax, have some snacks. But we will be back very, very shortly.
conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red light, I could run through the fire. I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red, I could, I could, I could, I could run through the fire. Conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red light, I could run through the fire. I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red, I could, I could, I could, I could, I could run through the fire.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I'm McCreamy. Joining me today is Jerry the Mannequin Man, and we are back for some Badass University All-Stars action. Randy Ravens versus Sniper Monkeys. Randy Ravens and Sniper Monkeys, coincidentally, the two teams that we're going to see Imperium Amanda play in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to throw off to Jerry and give him some life back in his eyes. So, there you go. Good point. I really like it. You really... Best co-caster I've ever had. Jerry, though, welcome back for real now. And how are you feeling heading into this matchup?
I was just like, I have to go with it.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm feeling pretty stoked, actually. This is a big one, right? Randy Ravens, they really need this win. They've been sort of in this top pack for a while now, and like we said at the start of the cast, they are the in-form side. They haven't lost since Playday 2. They've always been winning in those past sort of 4 Playdays, and it's been really impressive performances from them. I think that they should take this victory, but more importantly, they kind of have to take this victory, because Team Triton, Lockdown Ludens, Imperium Amandum, Princesses, they are not letting up either. Like, this is a really stacked top 5 that we've got going at the moment. Yeah. Chimp Hunters just sort of lagging behind a little bit. There's still hope for them. They're that one kind of middle of the pack team in this entire league at the moment, and then there's a sort of a swathe beneath them and a swathe above them. And I think if you're Chimp Hunters, you're watching this and you're really hoping that at least one of the big teams slip up. And that hasn't happened yet this play week. So they need to hope that Randy Ravens do. So if you're a Chimp Hunters fan or a player, you're going to be really rooting for the Sniper Monkeys here. And to be honest, the Sniper Monkeys, they've been fairly impressive at different points during this season. They also have a key sub to date in the name of Max, who has really boosted their performance when he has been present. So it's entirely possible that we do see that sort of that loss that Chimp Hunters are hoping for in the way of Randy Ravens. But yeah, Randy Ravens... they've still got my money on them, I think.
Yeah, I feel like Randy Ravens, they're going in as those, you know, the bigger card on the table. Because simply put, you're looking at Max D coming in, and that's not going to change some of the core issues in the Sniper Monkeys. What we've seen is they haven't really had the coordination, they haven't had the team cohesion that a lot of other teams have had. That's a very basic thing, but it's one of the most crucial. They've really struggled to get much momentum behind them in pretty much all of their games. They've really struggled to kind of get the key points of their checklist done. Think about when we saw in that last game, when we saw Froggers, they had a long path to go to redemption, but they tripped on every single pebble. That's what it feels like it's been for the Sniper Monkeys as well. And speaking of them, let's bring it up on here so you can see exactly why this is so shocking. Sniper Monkeys isn't a roster that should be struggling. No. Look at it, Jerry.
They are stacked. That is a stacked roster. If you looked at those players and their performance across last season, across BUAL, season 1, you'd think, wow, this is like a kind of super team. They're going to storm it, but they've really struggled to gel, it seemed. And hopefully, for their sake, they can pull things together and deliver the response that they want, because like I said, they are lingering down the bottom and they need every single possible win to try and push themselves up. I don't even know if at this point it's even physically possible for them to get to playoffs. I'll do a bit of maths behind the scenes in a bit. But Tichy, Quick Jab, Nom Nom Nom, Stuxy, and the High, that is that super roster that we expected to be blowing the opposition out of the park. But, well, they haven't really lived up to our expectations just yet. Smithel? Is it Smithel on the other side? I don't think... You know what? I feel like I haven't cast Smithel at all. Either way, Smithel, Deathly, Trash Waifu, Mali, and Inoob, the side of Randy Ravens. And, yeah, a scary squad also. There's some really big names from last season in there too. Mali and Trash Waifu were spectacular last season. And, yeah, I think that this is possibly going to be a fairly close one.
Jerry, I know you like your stories. You know, age comes with appreciation of stories.
Look at the uni rivalry going on here, or the within uni rivalry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The rivalry here. Well, Sturksy and Mali, both on Chexeland last game, last season, and they both won it out. So this is a real kind of grudge match, if you ask me, because you've seen Mali really keep on that narrative of Chexeland and improve and get better and get stronger. Where Sniper Monkeys, they've kind of sunk rather than Ravens flying. Now, let's bring it back to us and then start thinking about the maps that we're going to see. We can talk a lot about these teams. We can talk exactly about what rosters should be performing and whatnot, but where is almost just as important. The Randy Ravens are going to be playing Chalet last week, so that's going to be auto-banned. Oregon also taken away as well. Consulate and Clubhouse, they're going to be removed, so we're definitely not going back to the same map. Villa and CAF are still on the board, though, Jerry.
Certainly are, as well as Coastline. So it's that 3 to see us through. And Coastline Villa going to be removed, and Cafe the choice effectively from Sniper Monkeys there. So despite Oregon and Clubhouse going out of that pool quite quickly, quite early on, I mean, Oregon is an auto ban, so it doesn't really count. We're still getting that sort of third most popular, I suppose, map in the trifecta of Tier 4 Siege that we see quite frequently is Cafe Dostoevsky. And a fair and interesting battleground. I do love seeing Cafe. I feel like it's a very entertaining map most of the time. You get a lot of the same thing happening, but it just means that it's very well practiced and that it takes really good performances to best each other.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good way. And there's many things we've actually said about this CAF map because, well, we said it last week, or we said it before. It feels like every time we cast together, we make at least one journey to CAF Dostoevsky.
Yeah, that's true.
And we say the same thing. It's the defenders, they dictate the pace of the game. Yep. Then it's all about whether the attackers, they've got the right tools for the job. The defenders, do they offer these openings? Well, yeah, you've said it all before. It's a map which has constantly been picked for the Buell teams. And, well, I want to talk more about Villa. Sniper Monkeys took Villa off the board, and that makes a lot of sense to me, because the last time that we saw them on Villa, and every time we've seen them on Villa, they've really struggled. Team kills, barely getting inside the building, being bottlenecked horribly. These are some of the few things that have happened to them, so I'm really not surprised to see that they wanted to go to CAF instead. Whereas Randy Ravens, they went up against the Princesses in week 2 on Coastline, and I don't think of anything that could really be worse than that, let's be honest.
No, it's a difficult battle to surmount. I'm just having a quick check of how teams have done, how Sniper Monkeys have done throughout the season, and I think just doing some quick calculations, it may actually already be impossible for them to get top 4. So it's entirely possible that right now, I'll do a bit of confirmation in a sec, but I think it's out of reach for them. So this could all be for Randy Raven's points at the moment. I'm gonna double check that, but. Like you said, more importantly, we're heading to Cafe, and these teams, whether they know it or not, are playing for something, right? We know that Randy Ravens have a lot on the line. The Smunkies, as it's abbreviated to. I do like the Smunkies. It just, for some reason, it brings to mind the sort of mental image of that monkey with a cigar, like a smoking monkey. That's why I picture.
I just think about s'mores, to be honest. But
s'mores,
one thing I'm going to be thinking about right now is, well, this stature ban. On Kaf Dostoevsky, it's an interesting one because it doesn't have such a huge impact. It does on the bottom floor, but it's not the same as every single site. Now, there is obvious positives and negatives to a Thatcher ban, but it doesn't seem to be as important on the top floor as, say, well, honestly, I'd be honest and say maybe an Ashes of Fear would be a key ban. Another key ban is going to be this Nomad being taken away by the Smunkies. Probably saying once they go to the defense, they're wanting to get aggressive. They're wanting to cause so many issues for the attackers. Nomad just shuts it down in big ways. There's only 2 or 3 staircases that you could really go through depending on the site, and 3 air jabs. You can shut them all down. You can stop Robers in their tracks without using utility or shooting or doing something to alert the attackers. Cade's going to remain on the board, and so will Maverick.
I've just done a little bit of maths, and I can actually confirm that Monkeys cannot reach playoffs, unfortunately for them. They can't reach top 4 because they've lost against the 2 teams that hold 15 points, and that's the most that they can get, even with 3 wins on their final games. So, yeah, that kind of sucks for them. But, yeah, so that means that in terms of qualification, this is all about Randy Ravens trying to get that place, but Smunkies, I think they can put up a good fight. Like we said, we've got Max on the side of Smunkies, so anything is possible when this guy is here. He's managed to set, on the very opening day, the kills record for this league, 26. I mean, that's a proud kills record to hold in any league. I don't think I've ever seen a game, or casted a game, with that many kills myself, personally, so that was a real high start for him. But can he replicate? He's been sort of on and off, Max, and that's the best way to describe him as a player so far. Is incredible, but occasionally subpar, occasionally just a little bit inconsistent. So, is he going to have a good day? Is he going to have a bad day? And are Randy Ravens going to be able to deal with it if it's the former?
Now, quite a bit of background going to be coming through from Max on here, and that's most importantly that his name, Max P, is because he allowed the person who ratioed him the hardest to change his Uplay name. Sturk C1. And, well, now he's Max P, but he's also a T3, T4 in EU at least, observer, and is also an NACL observer. But, well, the frags are there as well. He does have a lot of mechanical ability and has demonstrated a number of times, like you said. Honestly, I say on the attack, it can be something the Smunkies might need, but it's not going to be that winning factor. A lot of things need to go right for them. They need to have that coordination. They need to just play together in a way that we haven't seen before. Now, though, Randy Ravens, they're going to have that really dining defense. And I really like this because it is a top floor hold, but then there's the bottom floor as well. And there's a lot of opportunities for attackers who can spot weaknesses in a lineup and say, there's nobody white stairs, nobody all the way up to laundry. There's a potential opportunity for a plant here. Feels like Earl Grey in Yukin 2. That's something they excel at. In a 5 versus 5, he will find an opening, get a plant down, and put the defenders on their back. Right now, Spunkies, though, they're going to go for something a little bit bold. They're going to enter towards this piano area.
Look at that player just lurking beneath the skylight right now. I believe it's Comrade Barney on the side of Randy Ravens, the Jaeger, just hiding there, playing very aggressive. In fact, maybe it's not him, but look, there's an engagement about to take place as the Yana hologram is dropped in, followed closely by Zafia herself, and now that is the opening frag going the way of the attackers. C4 gets sent out by Ainu, but it will not connect, and now bodies have to flee, whether they know it or not. Smunkies have successfully cleared Cocktail, and that's a huge step towards a successful reading attack Actually, a drone being shot up there indicates that that's no longer the case. Someone's retaken top of white and is able to fight from that position. They do have a read on this attack as well, as the Pulse is feeding info. A trade comes out on the top floor. Inu shut down, but not before he takes out one. Deathly responds with a kill onto Max P and then flees for the hills. 3 versus 3 with a minute and 10 seconds left. Attackers have full control of that top floor. And as I say that, they even managed to grab a cheeky little kill vertically onto Deathly. Suddenly, you've got the Pulse and the Mute left alone with no C4s. The drop comes through, but that is only a hologram. So Trash Rifle needs to back away, try and play this very smart. He's going to hide inside the 19, knowing that probably one of the best protected areas from above.
Yes, right now, Smonkies, they need to push into a lot of fatal funnels. Nom the Nom's going to take some damage, so Trash Waifu won't be landing the killing blows that are needed. That's going to fall down to the hide, able to take away Mally, and really give Smonkies a strong opportunity to win out that round. The plan's starting to go down with the hide, but the swing from Ditchy finds Trash Waifu. Smonkies, this is what I wanted to see the whole season, Gary. That was coordinated. That was constructed. They said, we'll take control of this top floor, we'll start the vertical play. We find 3 kills, we drop down, we plant. They had communication. They said, we've got a player on white covering the swing. We know that he's over towards that dining pillars area. So then Tichy pulls outside, holds that angle, and finds the kill. Very well played, very well coordinated. The biggest question is, why are we only seeing this now when, like you said, they can't qualify? They're really wanting to just punish Randy Ravens and make them earn this spot at least.
Certainly true, and maybe that difference is having that strong entry on Max. He was able to grab the opening frag, but I have to say that Randy Ravens made that slightly too easy for him. I would have liked to see them rest on the strength of their setup. They clearly know what they're doing with this site. They went there first. It's very rare that you see a reading room initial defense, and I think that they could have sat back on that setup. They could have made sure that it was, you know, playing to their advantage. Instead, just one player slightly too advanced in my mind in the name of Comrade Barney, whether it's him individually or whether that was a call from the team, we do not know, but just sitting a little bit too far forward from his team, and the inability to sort of refrag that exact kill just meant that from that point on, it was a bit of a trade fest. And when you have a man advantage, the trade fest is going to work in your favor. Smonkies had that advantage and they leveraged it, ending up with a 2 versus 1 and closing it out. So very cleanly done by the attack, and it was a swift take, a lot of quick responses. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from both sides in terms of them being sort of quick to act and very much on their toes, feeding the information back and forth and making sure they get the refrags. But Randy Ravens just need to be a little bit more passive, I think, at the very opening.
Yeah, a lot of numbers in that last round really dictating how the game went. I could really follow it because, well, I'm a shouty man, not a math man. So we're going to see these hatches up. One thing I can follow is how this game is going to go. You're seeing Randy Ravens go for a very typical hold as it stands in the meta. They've got the freezer presence, the bathroom presence that can rotate around the pixel to put pressure on this red wall when it gets opened up. Right now, the Gemini's going to go through. That's the big thing that got Barney off last time, is they played it properly. They had the Yana Gemini go in, and then they had Max immediately following up on it. Now, the Melusi Banshee won't go off, but the Maestro Evil Eye will be able to find it. That's the Gemini taken away. That entire pillar and shop area has just been called clear. But the Randy Ravens, they still have the freezer and bathroom position. As long as they have this, they have a lot of power. You see this swing coming out from the potential on Pixel. If they know someone's cart and they're not covering their Pixel, that's going to be a huge frag opportunity. Titchy down below will be looking for that utility, but it's just out of line of sight. And Titchy, though, gonna be able to find a kill. Comrade Barney will fall. That bottom floor control is theirs, and they have a buck. My question is, why is Heizo not there? Why is Heizo not playing down and reading when you could just start shooting up?
I'm not quite sure. I'm wondering right now what the thought process is from Randy Ravens in terms of not holding Pixel. Perhaps they're not a fan of the Jaeger changes and are choosing to hold it a bit more passively. But Heizo just standing. Oh, that's a beautiful pre-fire there from Nom the Nom, opening up that angle through the cigar cubby and making, well, the Melusi pay for it. We've now got a 3 versus 5, and this is forcing Deathly into a situation where he knows he has to try and make a play to try and even out the difference. And he's the most advanced player here in terms of positioning. Just needs to make sure he leverages it. He's got a couple of backs turned his way, so this is opportunity whether he knows it or not, but it's very, very risky. And in fact, he will go down. Inoob as well, met with an early demise as he tries to push up towards that cocktail area. Max P will seal the final kill as Nom claims the down onto Inoob with the grenade. And that is a nice take and a flawless round coming through from the attacking side of Sniper Monkeys.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for them is really this Valkyrie ban, because think about it, right? If you brought a Valkyrie and you're the Randy Ravens, you put a camera in that piano, you have it behind one of these Christmas trees, it's hard to spot the best of times, but you don't have an IQ. That Valkyrie camera for Randy Ravens could have given a lot of information. For example, like you said, if Deathly knew it or not, it was his opportunity. Give him a Valcam, he would have known it. He would have swung. He would have got the kill. Instead, he had to go without any information. One player wasn't looking, but Heiser was. Doing so, you lose that bathroom position. The real obstacle for that default plan, that's suddenly taken away. Then Smonkeys, they ramp up the aggression. The frag grenade goes through. They just get control of these lines of sight that Randy Ravens have made, and they win that round. The Ravens yet to really answer. Only 2 kills on the side of the defenders at the moment. And you got to think, Smonkeys, this is explosion. This is explosive. This is energetic. This is what we wanted to see from them. This is what we expected to see from them. The Randy Ravens have an answer. They usually take a while to get going, and that's what we've seen in their games against teams such as the Froggers, against teams like Imperium of Mandem. It's given them a little bit of time to actually start waking up. And this normally works out when you're on the defense, on the attack first. So you struggle the attack, and then you go to the defense, and that's where you start to get it. But right now, Randy Ravens, they need to warm up very, very fast. They need to get 4 more rounds on the win if they want to be in that controlling position. To start winning rounds now, that gives you momentum.
It's worrying as well, looking at the history of Randy Ravens on this map. They've only played it once, and it was a couple of weeks ago against the Froggers. And they managed to grab 5 defensive rounds. They can't possibly do that now. So, knowing that they're not as strong an attacking side, in terms of only having grabbed 2 on their attacks in that last match, then this is concerning. This means that they really need to step it up, or they need to bring something big when it comes to the attacking half. Hopefully the bans might leverage that slightly in their favour, as, well, certainly the Nomad ban is a bit of a softer one, so that Valkyrie being off the board is going to be huge, especially when you're going for plays like this, as Monkeys are looking to sneak their way through. Max finding Comrade Barney once again, the first player to fall, and Heizo takes down Deathly. With only a minute gone, you're 3 versus 5. Defenders, what are you going to do about this?
Well, not stop that bakery breach going down. Mali realizes this, and you have to play the tight angle in that prep window. You have to get aggressive. You have to find a kill, and Heizo's gonna suffer. Trash Waifu will be taken down, and Inoob looks to get the refrag onto Tichy. It's 2 versus 3. If this was bad before, it's winnable now for the Randy Ravens. And look at that, Nom the Nom. Able to find a kill into Mali crossing. Inoob will get Max P. It's a 1 versus 2. That impact player clearly having a difference is gone, and Inoob will impact himself, pushes through. But Nom the Nom knows exactly where you are. You pushed a little bit too far. You gave a little bit too much information. Randy Ravens will lose all 3 sites.
Now.
Oh god, no, it's coming out.
That is
No, he done it.
He did it.
You've
been done dirty.
I am going to go retire now, Jerry. Thank you.
Well, it's been a good run. You have a good set of accolades to your name. So yeah, I think it's let's give a round of applause for the
played in the
departure of McCready.
ECS staff match, so I mean,
Yeah, and
was
who
there
won
really
that?
anywhere else left to go?
Who won that tournament?
Would you like me to get the VODs of our game, Jerry? I remember I hit a few shots, buddy.
Yeah, I got a win under my belt. I hit like no shots. So I've got no reason to brag. I was carried, but still. Yeah, that is what, like I was saying at the start of the round, and it's just amplified now. Concerning for Randy Ravens. 3 rounds on the trot on every single site. That's a bit worrying as a defense. Usually you think, oh, you know, we'll go somewhere else. We'll try somewhere else. We'll be a bit more successful.
Yeah.
But they just found out that that's not working for them. Like, nowhere else for them.
works. And
Unless they try a mining defense, which has been rising slightly in popularity at the top tier. You see Na'Vi do it occasionally, but this ain't Na'Vi, right? It takes a really good, really coordinated team with amazing gunners on it to pull that off, and right now, I don't think it's the time for it. Randy Ravens, this is absolutely the right thing to do. Go to a strong site, go to Bar, try and find a way around Smunkies, because right now they're kind of tearing you apart. I gotta say, Smunkies, they've been nuts so far. Max on the entry and Nom the Nom top fragging as well. The way that Nom the Nom got himself into sight in that round and just snuck his way through, got a couple of frags, was instrumental to their success. And I don't think that with this Valkyrie ban, Randy Ravens are doing themselves... Randy Ravens have much of a hold on things. Smunkies are really leaning into it with the lack of intel that the Randy Ravens are able to provide to each other. And Smunkies are just swinging stuff. That being said, Deathly, he's also been playing fairly well. And he will take down Max. A huge pick in the grand scheme of things. Especially because it's the first time that we've seen Randy Ravens get that opening frag.
Especially if your name's Comrade Barney. You've been that opening frag 3
Like,
rounds in a row.
God.
You have survived the first minute, and you know what? We salute you. Congratulations, you will be going through to the next round. But you've got to win this one first. Comrade Barney will be getting aggressive. A lot of utility and support here. Positioning in bathroom, that's quite risky. Because, but the piano, sorry, because you're risking piano window, the stage window. That can be used. As soon as you're called out, the pre-fire comes through from Nom the Nom. Comrade Barney isn't the opening frag, but will be the second. Randy Ravens now, though, they can try and get a refrag, but it's all down to bunkering. iNoob, a lot of utility supporting, a lot of mute jammers, banshees, ADSs. You can hold this position for a little bit. You can't stay here very long. Now, actually playing down below, which I didn't actually realize. I have now, so don't worry about it, Jerry. We've got that in the end. I'm not senile yet. But iNoob has a lot of vertical play that can be used. This is something we see a lot of teams in T4 want to do. They want to have this control. And Smunkies have read into this. They've got this dedicated roam clear moving through. They've got the Yana and Nom the Nom. Something that's just been instrumental in a lot of rounds where Randy Ravens, they deal with the Yana Gemini, but they don't know how to deal with the follow-up, which Nom the Nom is about to demonstrate. A minute now. That bottom floor control is gone. No C4s down below. Only one on Deathly. The only one to find a kill this round will have to try and find a couple more yet again in bathroom. Nom the Nom and Mali will both take damage, but Nom the Nom easily coming off worse in this gunfight.
Excellent step-by-step problem solving there from Smunkies, clearing up below so that they can take piano control. But it has taken them quite a bit of time. With 30 seconds left, they may hold the man advantage, but they don't necessarily hold the advantage overall. They may do now as Nom the Nom grabs a triple for himself. That frag grenade doing the work. Trash Wife finds Titchy in response, but Nom the Nom goes down from Manu. Now Heizo takes down Manu, and it's all up to Trash Waifu. 1 versus 1 now as he finds one player. The Height tries to stick the diffuser, comes off it, but Trash Waifu in the 1 versus 2 clutches it out for Randy Raven and gives them huge buckets loads of hope going forward.
Yes, they've won a round, but Jerry, they've already lost 3.
Oh, don't do that to them. Give them
No,
this moment,
yes,
moment of glory.
Jerry,
you know?
It's huge. That was an incredible recovery from that 3 versus 4. Okay, great. The push came through the execute. Trash Waifu and Mali, they did an incredible job holding position, taking these gunfights one-on-one and finding picks. I'm not taking it away from them. That was cleaning up in a huge way, but there's still a lot more mess to clean up. Randy Ravens, 2 more rounds just to break even on your defense and get that 3-3 split. That is a big ask, especially with the aggression that Smunkies are playing. Like, the aggression that they're showing, the coordination that's there, the problem solving you talked about. Randy Ravens, something huge is needed if you want to break even and get that 3-3 split, and you need to carry it over onto your attack. Because Smunkies, they're not going to calm down. And the big thing, Randy Ravens, if they get a 3-3 split, I can see them winning this, because they will have had to break that Smunkies momentum. They will have had to really step up in a huge way. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying I'm looking at it, it's improbable. It's difficult. And if Randy Ravens are able to make it happen, then they prove why they should be in the playoffs.
Now, I've got a bone to pick right now.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
Comrade Barney,
What have I done?
No,
What
no.
have I done this time?
Not with you. It's not with
me.
you. Don't worry. Comrade Barney's moved on to the Vigil. Now, this is wise if you're thinking, oh yeah, okay, he's the fragger. They've been sticking him on Jaeger all these rounds, and he's not been getting the work done, unfortunately for him. Let's bear in mind, we've just seen a big Jaeger change. That recoil change is very upsetting to people that have loved and used this operator for a very long time, and I feel as though that may be getting to him. let's look at it. He's on a donut right now. He just wants a good gun in his hand so he can play his role correctly. Trash Waifu, having just managed to clutch out the round superbly as a Melusi in the end of that last one, has been, it used to be a promotion. I would consider it maybe now a demotion to Jaeger. So, I feel like that's a bit hard on Trash Waifu, but clearly showing that you can do it with any gun. So, yeah, let's stick Gomrad Barney on that visual and see what happens. I like the bringing of the Capcan as well. It's going to slow Smunkies down because the rounds that they have won, they've been very, very quick to take ground. That last round notwithstanding, always getting that opening frag, and it's been in no small part due to their very quick entry.
Building upon this, last time on this site, as we hear this drop, we saw Smunkies. Nom was inside that double door in the site, looking for Mali. This is problem solving. This is dealing with it. Those Capcan chaps, they're like goo mines, they're like banshees. You trigger them or you destroy them. There is no way to get rid of them other than an EMP or that knock scanner, which isn't being brought. Knock, not really the operator for Kath Dostoevsky, is she? So, you either shoot a Capcan trap, or you trigger it and you give away the information. In doing so, this is just Randy Ravens giving themselves another opportunity. And I want to touch upon this Trash Waifu with this Jaeger. He can use it very well, but he does love a good bit of the MP5. A Rook main for quite a long time, actually. A Rook sledge main before he kind of learned how to play some other operators. iNoob, though, is going to prove that he can also use this MP5. We'll be finding Max P and shutting down that Sophia, the spearhead of the assault. Nom may be the top fragger, but Max is always the first person in, no longer. Comrade Barney taking some damage. We'll be looking for the kill onto Nom, who is going to be able to secure it and bring us into a 4 versus 4. 40 seconds ticking down as Smunkies, they're beginning their vertical play, but Randy Ray, they've gone for a very, very spread out hold. They're not exposing themselves to the angles. They're looking to stop the problems before they start. Deathly, one of those problems could be taken away with the Maverick. Now, Smunkies play a disadvantage. They're spread apart. They've got to go into the sightlines of the Randy Ravens. They're slowing down the pace of play, and that's why they're winning. The C4 rip will come through, and the C4 will find ISO, but the refrag, it's not there. Deathly's gonna find a third before being taken away by the hide. They know exactly where you are. The C4 goes, Mali peeks and dies. You've got to push through, but the barbed wire wins it on time. Randy Ravens break the momentum.
You can run, and it turns out you can hide from the hide at the very end. Some really nice defensive play there, using the timer to his position, to his advantage. And oh my god, Deathly. Just proving, well, exactly that, as it turns out, with a triple kill on the round. So superb from the Kaid, just popping up everywhere. Well, I mean, mostly in Bakery. He got that first kill from Wedding Room, or from Small Bakery, and then popping into Bakery itself, getting that C4, and popping up and getting a headshot afterwards. He just dealt death at every turn. Wonderful stuff from the Kaid, and that is exactly what Randy Ravens need. They needed that sort of morale boost, if you will. It was a great take from Smunkies, all things considered. They ticked all the boxes. Their approaches have been very nice throughout. They went from top down, made good time on it, and sure, they lost that opening frag, but then they also took down Comrade Barney afterwards, at the bottom of Red, who's having a sordid time. I think it's been the opening death for Randy Ravens, at least every time. Regardless of whether his team get the opening kill or not, he's just been the first one to die on his side. So I really, my heart goes out to him, because I know that he's probably feeling it. And I mean, you know, you've been stuck on the Jaeger for most of those rounds, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And now he's rotating onto the Bandit, so at least he'll have some sort of impact on the round in terms of laying down utility. Maybe that MP7 will be a bit kinder to him. We've seen a lot of sort of operator rotation, in fact, around here. Now iNoob is on the vigil, so it just seems whoever does best in the previous round gets, or whoever wants the gun gets the vigil, and that's how it's working now. They're dropping the Jaeger completely from their strats. It's quite funny.
This makes a lot of sense, actually, because I look at this and I say, well, they all should know how to play each role. So you're just saying who's performing better on what role at the moment? Well, Trash Waifu had an incredible round with Mali fragging. Let's give them 2 fragging-based operators. Capcan maybe not falling into that category, but the philosophy is still there. Spunkies, they're opting for a very heavy south-sided push, getting onto the roof, but also applying pressure through the windows. They're pushing they're going to be opening up this piano. They're going to be opening up one of these key positions they need to take control of. They won't be able to see that bandit charge right now. But Max, well, you know there's a Cade ban.
Oh,
I was about to say you could shoot your impact right all the way over to that area, but no, that lifeline's not going to get used. Ainub's going to run out and get a kill and not get punished, most importantly. We'll be able to run through all the way through Bakery, all the way to that freezer and up the white stairs and back to site. A free kill for the Randy Ravens, no answer from the Smonkies yet again. Their spearhead being the opening frag. What impact will this have?
Who knows, but getting rid of that Sophia before Max could blow his load. Very important pick there. Now we've got 4 versus 5. Ainub again with the opening frag seems to really come alive in this. A jump out comes from Comrade Barney, and he gets his first kill of the day! Let's celebrate that. Fantastic stuff from the bandit, and incredible that he also manages to escape with his life, getting down into Bakery. So now 3 versus 5, and he's not done yet. He's hungry for more. He gets a second! What is going on? Comrade Barney has come alive. It just needed the MP7 in his hands, and now it's a 2 versus 5, and Smonkies are really struggling. Titchy with an itchy foot takes out that little goo mine. Now the Hyde has to try and come and support. It looks like they've defaulted to, well, they can't clear anything right now. They can't do the full map sweep that they want, so they just have to try and push in through Fireplace, maybe get a ninja plant down. The Hyde gets his head taken off by Barney. Triple kill on the round. Titchy, you're next. Is it going to be the quad for our previously donut-holding bandit? Titchy walks into sight, his legs fully exposed by the player in 90, but Trash Waifu is just not aware, and now the call has come through. Has to clutch out a 1 versus 5. He has to go ace clutch this one. Does he expect the prone position of Comrade Barney just behind that pillar? Perhaps not. Just waiting for the aggression to come through. Diffuser is sat outside right now. He could jump out the window and try and recollect it, but it would be a bit risky. He's going to push to 90. The goo mine will alert Comrade Barney to his position. Doesn't have time to pick it up. Comrade Barney swings. Can he get the kill for the quad? No, he can't. Titchy sucks him down, but he tries to pull out the goo mine and definitely will make him pay.
Very, very nicely played by the Ravens there, and it's at this point that I've simply got to say, I kind of called it, but I didn't. I was very scathing of the Randy Ravens, but I said if they were able to bring it back to a 3-3 split, they had to break the momentum. They had to stop the Smonkies from playing their game. Because, Max, pushing in, finding these openings, finding these weaknesses, like I said, Earl Grey, on the support, in Nukin 2, he will find an opening, he will find an opportunity to plant and catch the defense off guard, he'll do it. Max fills a similar role on the entry. He'll spot a weak point in the defense, push through, and tear it apart. Think a tiny hole on, like, leggings. He puts 2 fingers in it, rips it, wide open. That's what happens to the site, Jerry. Simply put, once you see Smonkies get this opportunity, they push in. No. Randy Ravens, they've been able to find these opening kills. Max being these opening kills in the 3 rounds they won. That's no coincidence, Jerry. Max has been the entry player and hasn't had an impact in the last 3 rounds. Ravens, they've been able to shut down the momentum of Smonkies and stop them playing aggressive.
You've got to give credit to Ainub as well, because he's the one quite often picking up those kills onto Max. He's identified the win con, right? He's gone, we kill Max, he's playing Zofia, just target Zofia, get the kill, win round. 3-3 is huge, right? We were 3-0 down, we were thinking, oh goodness, they couldn't win any of their sites, and then they just complete a perfect circuit. That is the turnaround they want.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, you're looking at Smonkies. They had momentum, they had aggression, but now they're going to be feeling it. 1 round, maybe you made a little bit of a mistake. It might have been a fluke of the Randy Ravens. 2 rounds, okay, they were able to get a second one. You can't allow a third. 3 rounds, that's no mistake. Randy Ravens have stepped up and have started to improve, and Smonkies are starting to feel it. That's the big thing. Going on to the defense, though, this is the real opportunity Smonkies have to get that back. If they can find a couple of these opening kills, they can stunt the momentum. They can stop Randy Ravens from taking control of this cigar shop area. It's all going to end. Max P will have that MP5 and a C4 in pocket. A little bit of knowledge, a little bit of confidence. He will be running out and getting a C4 there. That's not going to happen right now. Definitely nearby. will be making sure that's not the case. And Max realizes that position in Piano is so important. Mally, though, it doesn't matter. The Ravens, they've taken Cocktail. They blindsided the Smunky defense. Trash Wifey is going to get taken down by Nom De Nom, but it doesn't matter. It's a 4 versus 4 on site. Titchy will get the C4 out onto Mally. It will get the kill as Max P's on the retake, finding Deathly. Noob sat on this angle looking for the kill, but it's going to be Comrade Barney falling. This is what the Smunkies needed to pick it back up. Max P getting taken down, however. Noob in a 1 versus 3 retake at the round half, Jerry.
Just a bit of hesitation on that rush there for Randy Ravens really cost them. The gridlock over peaking at one point, and now it's left Noob in a situation where he's going to have to clutch up big. He's already gotten 1 kill in this 1 versus 4. He's going to have to get a second. The proximity alarm beeping out, revealing his position, and that frag grenade caught by the Wamaya Magnet as well. The key positions have been retaken by the defense. Cocktail is under the guard rather of Titchy right now. Nom Nom and Heizo inside of Freezer and Bathroom respectively. Noob now has to complete a full clear by himself. He does have a couple of drones out and plenty of, well, hammer swings to spare, but that's his last frag just sent out. Proximity alarm number 2 is going to reveal his location, and Heizo will just swing it. He's tired of waiting. Noob goes down in a heap, and Smunkies, they secure yet another round and at least regain the lead for now.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I look at that and I simply say that was Ravens really just doing their best. They said, right, we have won 3 rounds on the board. Their momentum isn't there, but on the defense, they can stall us out. That's the biggest problem. Randy Ravens, they tried to deal with this by pushing and taking control. Titchy saved the round. Like, I don't think there's any way that you can dispute that.
Yeah.
Titchy having the sense of mind to say they don't know I'm here. If they were, they would have pushed, they would have aggressed, and they would have taken me out. They don't know I'm here. No utility has been used. I wait. I catch them off guard with the plant, and then we strike. As soon as the plant gets cooled down, Titchy calls the C4s going through. You find that kill. Max P is able to find another one. Suddenly the Ravens are starting to drop like flies. And that's exactly what Noob has to do. You're on the rappel, you find a refrag, but like you said, Smunkies, they just take up their old positions. Noob, you're not going to get through Cocktail again. They're a little bit aware of that.
Yeah.
So, you go over to Red Stairs, you're back to square one. Outnumbered, outpositioned, and quite frankly, out of time.
The saddest part about that execute from Randy Ravens was that in hindsight, you can tell the one thing that was missing, and that's Skylight presence. You get someone on Skylight, and there's no way that the Smunkies are able to pull that one back. Every single one of their kills came from either Cigar or from that corner that you pointed out that Heizo was hiding in, or Titchy rather, with the C4. And if you got someone on Skylight, that cuts off so many of the rotations into Cocktail. You only really need to worry about someone flanking it through White, and that's going to be covered by the Repel player. So Max P finding the opening frag yet again. He's back on that score sheet, or the really important score sheet of opening frags, and he takes out Trash Wife. That's a whole load of extra utility gone now from the side of Randy Ravens. You lose the smokes, you lose the track stingers, and map control as well with the track stingers is very useful. So it's important then that Deathly and co are just able to grab Bakery for free, because this is what they may have been missing with the gridlock on. So this is, strangely, they have the advantage here despite being a man down.
Yes, they have the opportunity to get inside, find a weak spot, and move through. But, well, the barbed wire clearing out this mute jammer, what it simply means is that Smunkies, they're aware of this. Comrade Barney nearly being another fall in this round, but it's Deathly who's going to get knocked down. This main bakery wall is going to be opened up. The player in between those kitchen desks. Oh, no, that's horrible.
Now that it's open, it's working against Deathly.
Sorry,
right?
not just that. Noob able to find a kill onto Max Pete. Look at where Hyde is. ADSs also support this position. A Banshee supports it. Information and utility denial. You hear one go off, they don't even know that the Hyde is there, and even if they did, they'd have to get through prep. They'd have to deal with Heizo. They'd have to deal with the mute in prep of Nom De Nom. Then they need to deal with the Hyde. At the end of the day, this is stacking heavily in Spunky's favor, and every single second is only going to help. Titchy's gonna add a little bit more than just 1 second. Will take away Comrade Barney, but the Maverick's job, that's simply just done.
It's a little too one-dimensional right now from Randy Ravens, as they're pretty much forced into these angles that are being held by Smunkies. Even the one angle that's not being held, the long angle all the way down from Brownstairs towards Wedding, is being watched like a hawk by the Evil Eye, and you've got 2 players dead and able to watch it closely, but that could be the opening they need. The frag comes out and the trade comes through. Now 2 versus 2. The Randy Ravens have made the difference, and now Titchy has to hold these long angles. He's got to do double duty against a push through prep and a push through the breach, but he's got Heizo waiting as well above. This is an unchecked factor right now. They were aware of it because he did manage to get a frag, but Jeff Lee just sneaks under the radar. He's low HP, so just a tickle would do it, but he's trying to grab the frag onto the Maestro. He knows that this is important. If they can unseat this, then this gives them time to get the plant down. Mali is going to attempt it. Looks like he's out of sight of the vertical player as well, and will be successful. The ace comes off, and now we're in a post plant. But Titchy, what a flick towards Deathly in the post plant. Now Mali in the 1 versus 2, sitting on top of Diffuser, has to fight off both the Maestro and the Urudi, and he can't do it. Titchy with the triple kill on the round. Another headshot from the Alder. He proves the defining factor in that round, and he's going to bring Smunkies further ahead, putting some daylight between them and their opposition. 5-3.
Yeah, I feel, Mali, you didn't have to get aggressive. You had a nice little corner there. You were safe from vertical play. You start crouch walking towards that Maestro. Titchy saw you before you saw him, and the Alder, well, if you're pre-firing with it, you might as well. You've got the rounds to hit. You're able to find the kills. You've just taken away Deathly. You've just taken away literally everybody else that really tried to hold a candle to your gunplay. Not a big issue, just being able to pick off that one player. And you think about Heizo on the flank as well. It wasn't a great position. Now, if you stayed in that corner, you could take these gunfights one-on-one. Maybe you see Titchy not wanting to overly swing, so he plays it a little safer. Kaiser on the retake, you focus on that Aruni then. So you find the kill onto her, then you focus on the Maestro. Then the times pressure is being applied to the Maestro, and they've got to start moving forward. They've got to go for a wide swing one way or another if you play it very, very careful. And at that point, the audio, it's going to be a factor. You will hear which side. You aim it, you pre-fire, you find a kill. That's not what happened. You crouch walked, you gave your head willingly to the God of War. And in this case, it was Titchy to give Smunkies 1 round away from match point.
Well. We had a few expectations going into this game. Those were mainly that, A, it would be a close one. We did think that. But mainly that Randy Ravens would take the win. And, well, it looks like they are staring down the barrel of a potential loss here. And it could be a huge one because you look at their remaining fixtures, they've got to play against Imperium of Mandan and Triton in their next 2 weeks. Those are huge opponents and really key ones that are also battling out for those playoff spots. If they can't surmount this first hurdle of Sniper Monkeys, then their chances dwindle rapidly. So they need to put it together. They need to get at least a point or 2 off of this Playday. They can't afford to be losing it in regulation. And right now, they've got to grab their first attacking round. It's going to be on to Reading, as Smunkies have already successfully defended top and bottom floor. Now, they're bringing the fuse, okay? Knowing that this is the site, I think this is honestly a great pick. You know that there's going to be some utility down on the bottom floor, and once you complete your sort of expected clear of the top, then he becomes incredibly valuable. He can get rid of those Go-Yo shields. He can get rid of those ADSs or burn them up at least. Pests, all of the mute jammers as well. Just everything falls foul of these cluster charges if they are well placed. But that clear has to be successful first.
Yes, because, well, you think about it, if you try and use them now, it's essentially just a waste. If you go onto the window, well, you give away a lot of audio information, which is what Max is able to capitalize upon. Finds a kill to Ainu, will find a kill, but definitely able to refrag, opening up this piano. But you saw it, I saw it. There's somebody playing down below. Comrade Bonnie will find a kill into Heizo. 4th in the game. But still, is it enough? You're looking at Randy Ravens playing a lot of catch-up, and the Hyde is going to make that little bit of catch-up a lot bigger. Definitely, yet again, coming through with refrags. Very huge effort to get that. Well, a few charges, they will come through, and we will see Mali dropping onto site. Trash Waifu trying to do a lot of utility clearance with this. but you're relying a lot upon it now. Your sledge is dead, your twitch is gone. You need those lifelines, and you need the cluster charges to do a lot of the utility draining legwork. Time is in favor of the Randy Ravens, though. They've got a minute to use and really plan this execute and find out where the 2 Smonkies are. Because, well, simply put, there's only 2 of them. They've got to be somewhere. There's got to be an angle that isn't covered, and Deathly, we're going to pretend we didn't see that just because you went to uni with the Observer, so we'll allow it, you know, we'll move on. It didn't happen. Let's just take a look at Titchy. Holding, dining, looking for the pillars. You need to have somebody ready to either hold or get onto this pillar's position. Because, simply put, that's how you retake this site. Definitely looking to get aggressive on White Stairs. Could open things up. Will be able to with a triple. And Titchy, all on his own, looking to yet again give Smonkies a much-needed round win.
Could be huge here. Titchy is one of the players that you want in these clutch situations, and he's going to prove it by almost taking down the player that vaults his way into the site with only 8 seconds left rather. The diffuser has to be going down. Titchy manages to find the cover, but does he expect the swing from hell? No, he doesn't. Definitely will take him out, and Randy Ravens managed to stay ahead of the curve in the trade game that round. They take another round, and it's a key one as well, closing the gap 5-4.
I know I've been very, very critical this game, but it was Deathly playing that trade game. It was Deathly. Every time a refrag came through, just onto Max P. Through that hole, as soon as Max was like, oh, I'll go get another one, you know, it's working, I'll get it. Deathly just came through, able to find that kill. As soon as the Hyde found an answer and was able to take away Comrade Barney, Deathly was there to find the kill. Got a kill onto White Stairs, which wasn't a trade, and that just opened everything up. Then it comes down to pushing down, covering these flanks. Constantly, we're seeing the Randy Ravens, they're playing these numbers games. This is something we saw in the first round, where we saw Max get the first one, then Sniper Monkeys, they just played refrags, because they had player advantage. Ravens, they're waking up, they're showing why they can consistently outperform teams, because they may not be the flashiest, the best, but their basics, once they get them locked down, that's where they're going to excel. Definitely 6 kills before that last round. Now it's on 10. Double digits and closing on non-Benot.
So, you want to know what Randy Raven's success and Harry Potter's success have in common?
Yes, please.
It's the Deathly Hellos. He just appears, he says hello, and Smonkies die.
I know my camera's not on, but if it was on, you'd see me about to walk away.
It's a shame because I had so many really interesting points to sort of provide about that round, and then that pun came to mind. I was like, no. All the analysis is gonna go out the window because I've got to say it.
Right. And I'm having the same thing right now. We're seeing one-hit barricades being prepped. Smonkies are tasting victory, and they are prepared to do anything to get it. That's what prepping these windows means. That's what prepping everything does. Max P, though, with the pulse is going to be found by Ainoob. He is incredibly fast getting into that train museum area. Catching the pulse off guard, that's something you don't often see. That's why Ainoob and Deathly have really been pulling a lot of this Randy Ravens weight. Not to say that the rest of the team haven't, just the frag work. It's been them very consistently. Now, that vertical play, not as much of an issue because Smonkies, they might not want to drop another player. They might not want to commit a player downstairs and leave that top part exposed. These frost mats leave a lot of issues, and that mute gemma will be taken away, so we will see red stairs, red wall open up. This pixel position is going to take a lot of pressure, and we've got to see Randy Raven start a very measured, but very, very promising assault.
We are, we see right now the pixel position under heavy assault. Down goes the shield. Heizo wisely backing away before that's the case, but he does have this nifty gun on the 1.5 scope at his disposal. Another flashbang burnt out there, but the impact makes its way through, and that's a sign that all is clear, ready for the push. Heizo trying to slice and dice through that pixel angle, but it's actually the Hyde to find that refrag onto the opening fragger of Ainoob, delayed as it may be, but that sets us in a 4 versus 4. Heizo still holding firm here. He's got the shotgun out now instead, that sidearm shotty. The ITA just being wielded at close range by the Frost. It does pack a punch. Tichy is in support here with this shield, watching like a hawk, but definitely will get the better of Heizo, and the hide falls to Comrade Barney. This attack working out wonderfully so far, but Tichy is still a presence inside of the freezer, and Nom Nom is too. The SMG-11's come alive. Comrade Barney is just pushing down bar. He's found himself deep inside enemy territory, and now his position is known. He has to win a frag here, but no, Tichy turns around, takes his head off, and now it's all up to Malu. He may hold the fuser, but more importantly, he has to get these frags. He's got 2 SES operators in front of him. Can he get the push through? He's going to opt to rotate through Cigar Shop instead. Try and hold this long angle, but he's got to worry about many angles. Sees the cross go through on the other side of Cocktail, but can't capitalize now. Nom 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 deep outside of range with only 10 seconds left. He now has to swing onto the SAS shotgun, and that's never a pretty sight, but he makes short work of it. 5 seconds left. He knows the location of the final player. Where is Nom Nom Nom? Has he fled? He's going to try and put Diffuser down. No, he gets shot in the back, and Smunkmees, they hide. Nom 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 just darting around the map in the final minute, making sure he does not get caught, and that's Smunkies pushing themselves on to match point.
Yes, 1 round away from having arguably one of the biggest upsets of this week. We've seen every game go pretty much as we expected it to, bar this one. The Smunkies giving an incredible performance so far. Those SMG-11s really coming alive and really doing the goddamn work on the defense. Randy Ravens, a very strong start on the attack. You take the pulse. You realize Smunkies, like I said, if they commit another player down below, they weaken a key part of their defense, whether it's Cocktail, the Foundation, the player on that Cocktail area, in the actual inside by Longbar. When you think about Pixel, if somebody goes down below, one of those positions is free to push. That's why we saw Smunkies hold a position, and Comrade Barney pushed down Longbar. Comrade Barney was bug. That, I feel, is one of the biggest issues with that push. Randy Ravens, they have a lot of things going for them, but just the minutia when it comes to the actual micro decisions of who does what, who goes where. Inoob went for the roam clear down below and was able to win out the gunfight. Yeah, that was great. But if it was Comrade Barney, it would open up so many more opportunities. Heading to the bottom floor, last time we saw this, Mali was able to get the plant down. But it came down to Randy Ravens really overextending in general for this round to get ended. Now that bulletproof cam is going to be very difficult. You need to use utility to clear it. As an attacker, you're not getting up there. You just won't. If you're in that position, you go for the plant. Right now, name of the game for Smunkies is just put as much pressure on as possible. And when you're trying to plant in this very tight scenario, knowing that if you lose, it's all over, well, that red little ping saying you've been spotted just adds to it. And it just gives you that little bit more claustrophobia when it does come to the push. Now, Randy Ravens, they'll be clearing out this bakery. They'll be looking, is there a hold? No, there's not. So let's just drone it out very quickly. Let's get inside. Let's get the utility. And be careful of the roamers. Smunkies, their mechanical ability, that's what they've been relying on quite a bit. And catching the Ravens off guard. If they're allowed to do it now, this round could end before it even starts.
The Ravens could be an omen of death for Max P, who's again just decided to meet this attack head on, occupying Harry Potter on red at the moment. Looks like he may well have fallen back. Yes, he has. So some wise moves there. So he's under a bit more pressure. He's decided to go above. Now he's making some punch holes, as only a Rooney can with these massive punchy fist thing. I have no idea what you call it. Oh my god,
it's called a robot arm, Jerry.
A robot arm, of course.
A robot arm.
A robot arm. The robot arm that only
What will
Rooney
these
wields.
kids think of next, am I right?
I don't know.
Oh no.
Oh, that just about sums up Conrad Barney's day.
That's a bit rude,
sad.
but yeah.
I mean, he had one really good round, don't get me wrong, but besides that, is bad a bit of a painful afternoon, unfortunately for him. However, this looks promising. Randy Ravens, they're accepting the fact that they're not going to get through that breach and deciding to refocus their efforts. They've taken control of Kochek, a very key position, and Ainu will find Max, who was previously occupying mining. He's managed to work his way all the way down to brown stairs, and, well, now he is dead. So that's good for Randy Ravens, alright? They've managed to clear the Roma. They now can just focus on the site. They've got the opportunity to try and flush out these defenders, and that's a very nice Capital bolt, forcing the player out of coffee using that hole above the brown bar. So, whether these holes come into play or not, we it's very unlikely considering the positioning of these final few defenders all stacked up on site, and the big door push is going to come through. Tichy and another player both watching tight up, and that is Heizo, who grabs one, not just one but two. Mali finds the Maestro, but Heizo with a triple whips out the pistol to finish the job, and now Deathly has to complete some heroics to keep Randy Ravens in it. Only 20 seconds left. Diffuser's been dropped. Heizo's watching it like a hawk. Deathly has to walk into a crossfire, and he can't do it. Heizo with the quad to finish the game and finish Randy Ravens off. Smunkies take it 7-4.
That round, it felt like it was over as soon as Comrade Barney was unable to shoot the mute jammer, which you feel like should have been the play. You know, you have players with your team of flashbangs. They can deal with your Rooney gate. No. You tried to get the nade through. It didn't go through the wall. It killed you. The mute jammer remained. The wall remained. And the Ravens had no choice but to push themselves through. Double door.
Yeah.
The Banshee went off. And Heizo... I know the Banshee is usually described as it's like a nice early warning system. In that case, it wasn't even a call to arms. It was just the dinner bell, and eat up Heizo did. Able to find 2 kills, shuts down the push, shuts down the momentum. You're calling on Deathly, someone who's been doing some incredible work keeping the team afloat when it comes with the frags and refrags. But even that was a bit of a tall order. 2 kills in their favor, gone in the blink of an eye. Even out and then just put in an unwinnable situation. Smunkies completing the only upset of this week, actually.
Going into these matches, there's some predictions that you could make just looking at the standings, saying, oh, this team are up here, this team are down here. You expect them to win. But in this case, it was the underdog. So very nicely done by Sniper Monkeys, finding that dub. Unfortunately, we can confirm it doesn't mean anything for them, but they've managed to at least put a dent in the hopes of Randy Ravens on their qualification sort of journey. And Randy Ravens, they now have a very tough remaining couple of matches to go. They've got, is it Imperium of Mandem and Team Triton? Yes, it is left for them. So they have to step up big. And it's honestly, those matches, they're kind of 6-pointers, right? They need to deny Triton and Imperium of Mandem those points that they can win as well. And I think, to be fair, we've seen some really promising stuff from Randy Ravens. This is their first stumble in 5 Playdays. Let's not forget, they were the team in form going into this week. And I have no reason to doubt them, to be honest. There were some stumbles today, like I said, but the performances were there. Some incredible individual performances across the board from both rosters. Inoob and Max. What a sort of duel that went on. Constant back and forth for opening frags. Deathly was immense, stepped up huge in lots of rounds. And Tichy as well on the side of Sniper Monkeys had some stellar performances in there as well. It was just wonderful from all players, honestly. And a great entertaining end to our week here at BUAL.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I look at this, I say, well, Randy Ravens, you've always, anytime you struggled, you've always had positives to take away. VOD review, good rounds that have come through and have really shown why you deserve to be still in contention to move up into the playoff spot. But Sniper Monkeys, perhaps a glimpse of what could have been if we just saw that same energy at the very start. Like you said, they can't qualify, but Ravens, they're going to have to deliver some promising and incredible results moving forward. But like you said, that is it for the week. It is it for now. We are done with all Playdays for BUAL Season 2 this week. 2 more weeks remain before we do look at that playoffs. And honestly, it's starting to ramp up. You're feeling the tension. All of these teams that can qualify, 7 points in between them. Still 2 weeks to go. Who's going to make it? Come back next week. You'll find out.
Sweet concussion, oh, you miss my touching.